Going down, everybody? It's your boy, That Guy Mile High, tuning back in for another reaction. And this time we got another one of those things, just, about the whole conflict, the whole situation that's going on in the world today. Actually, we finished up doing that reaction to the top 10 terrifying things happening between Russia and Ukraine right now. And then this video popped up and I was like, oh, bet, let's go ahead and run this one too. You dig what I'm saying? This one's top 10 terrifying things that will happen now that Russia has basically started World War III. Crazy to say that, but I think that's pretty much, the consensus. At this point, I don't think there's too many people who don't have the thought that this is potentially World War III or feel like this is it. Like, this is World War III. It's happening. It's here. I think there's far more many people who feel like that than there are people who are like, man, this will blow over. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like there's too many people who feel like this is just going to go away anymore. I think people are really coming to their senses and realizing that this is real, and you got to have a plan of action. You know what I'm saying? What happens if we do go? You know what I'm saying? And what happens if they need more? You know what I'm saying? What happens if they try to come and attack here? Like, what are your plan of action, bro? What's that plan of action? Like, how does all this stuff look for you and your people around you that you're trying to protect, loved ones and friends and family, stuff like that? So yeah, man, so crazy. But let's just jump into this. My bad to talk your ear off and start the video off so dramatic in the beginning, but this shit is real. But record the screen, man, hit that full screen, and let's just jump into this right now.
My heart goes out to anyone impacted by the Russia-Ukraine situation.
Facts.
It's a very scary and dangerous.
That's real shit, man. Shout out to everybody who's just going through it in Russia, or not in Russia. Well, yeah, shit, Russia and Ukraine, because there are a lot of Russian people who don't understand really what's going on either. You know what I'm saying? Because, the reality is Putin is not the most nicest person on the planet at all. Like, he's not the most loved person either. He's very, intimidating and willing to go very far to continue to, hold his power and to keep his power. And that's a dangerous combination, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? When you get power drunk, it's a dangerous combination.
Now, many people believe that this confrontation will lead to World War III, which is something nobody wants to happen. Even the former Ukrainian Prime Minister thinks so. He said that the Russian invasion could be the start of World War III. Today, let's take a look at some of the things that may happen or are already happening as a result of this invasion. Starting off this countdown, we have these sanctions. The former Prime Minister of Ukraine has called for NATO to provide direct military support for Ukraine. He claims that the sanctions imposed on Russia are not enough to deter them,
and that's the reality. Is Putin is all the sanctions and all this, like, oh, we're gonna charge you and make it more expensive for your people, and we're gonna try to hurt your economy. Like, the reality is Russia wasn't, like, not saying it wasn't a strong economy, but they're used to adversity, bro. Like, they're used to that economy has had to overcome so much that, like, I think that Putin in his brain is like, oh, my people can do this. You know what I'm saying? It's a fucked up thing to say that, but or to even think that. But I think, I truly feel like Putin is sitting here weighing his options, and he's like, my people got this. Like, they can handle any sort of little bullshit sanction, adversities that you think they're gonna cause our economy to fucking fail. Like, we've been figuring this shit out for a minute, because Russia's been in times of war and poverty, and for a very long time. Like, I don't think it was until recently that in these last, last decade, 2 decades, that Russia really started to kind of like bounce back and started to thrive as an economy, more than what they had been from all the war shit that they've just went through. Like, yeah, like, bruh, I think it's inevitable. I said in the last video, I just think it's inevitable at this point that to think that we're not going to end up having troops on the ground and actively fighting, I think is like wishful thinking. You know what I'm saying? And it's really unfortunate to say that, but that's what I truly believe at this point. I truly believe that it's just wishful thinking to think that we're not going to be pushed to a point that we have to step in and we have to, provide support. Yeah. Yeah.
More of NATO's help. On Thursday, Joe Biden revealed new and devastating sanctions going to be placed on Russia. This comes as a punishment for the country's full-scale invasion in Ukraine. Joe Biden said in his statement that it was an unprovoked and unjustified attack on Ukraine. And he promised that the U.S. and its allies will hold Russia accountable. Here are some of the sanctions that Biden is putting into place. He says that he's going to impose severe cost on the Russian economy, both immediately and over time. The sanctions will impact 4 Russian banks and will, quote unquote, corrupt billionaires and their family and anyone close to the Kremlin. Basically, they want to affect members of Putin's inner circle. Since the sanctions didn't stop Putin, now they're trying to punish him with them. Should he not ease up, who knows what other sanctions will be placed on him.
And see, and that type of stuff right there is just where you create, like, anger and you piss people off, and then instead of, you know, doing what you wanted it to do as far as, like, you know, pissing people off enough to, like, get them to stop or to get your point, it like makes them want to now, like, work against you even more to try to prove their point. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what we're kind of dealing with now, is we got a lot of egos. There's a lot of fucking pride and fucking egos going on right now. And people are fucking swinging dicks, bro, and measuring nuts. Unfortunately. And I think that's what we're going to end up seeing a lot more of before we see any sort of compromise or any sort of real conversations about resolution, or any sort of solution, about this and the whole endeavor. So, yeah.
Of the destroyed country. Many people are fearful that Putin won't stop until the Ukraine is completely destroyed. Many others believe that this invasion could be the start of the Third World War. Again, I'm praying that this won't happen. But the former Prime Minister of Ukraine has warned everyone that it might lead to that. He said, and I quote, "It could be the start of a Third World War. We should realize it because Putin will not stop." He continued on saying that Putin will destroy their country. But he also added that he is ready to fight to defend his country. Everyone at this moment just wants to keep Ukraine safe and stop the conflict from escalating even more. As soon as other countries get involved, it's a world war. Coming in at number 8, we have the puppet state. The former Prime Minister of Ukraine also said that he's afraid Putin will gain control of the Ukraine and turn it into a puppet state. A puppet state, or a regime or government, is basically a state run by outside power. In this case, Ukraine would be completely run by Russia in every aspect. It has control over it financially, economically,
it's like he's trying to, like,
its military. It's a very scary thought to
regain all the territory from, like, the Soviet Union or something, like, you know what I'm saying?
We have the state of emergency. Lithuania has declared a state of emergency following Russia's attacks on Ukraine. Lithuania borders Kaliningrad and Belarus. So the state of emergency is so that they can get more defense along its borders to protect itself from possible disturbances. Parliament will meet later to vote whether they agree or disagree with the president's decision. It's not just the Ukraine that has to worry, but places close to the conflict have to worry as well. In our 6th spot today, we have Chernobyl. Just when we thought things couldn't get worse, Russian forces have seized the Chernobyl site. Ukrainian soldiers guarding the area had an intense face-off with the Russian invaders. The area is now under the Russians' control, and it is still highly radioactive.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Like, why?
The Chernobyl nuclear reactor to
it's things like this that you have to, like, really look at the situation for what it is. Like, other than pure destruction and you trying to, like that's it. That's pure destruction. Like, there's no other reason for you to be sitting here trying to create a battlefield out of the most radioactive place on the fucking planet. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, the fact that really, in reality, these people shouldn't even be there. I'm pretty sure Chernobyl is still radioactive past, like, the healthy limits. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or, like, past your, like, you know, like the points that you should have it as a fucking human being. Like, yeah, bruh. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, the only explanation or intent with this was, like, there's some sort of pure destruction endgame. Like, that's all I can come to, bro. Like, why else?
Not to interfere with its military. Ukrainian officials are worrying that having the Russians there could endanger the containment zone safety protocols. It could just lead to another nuclear catastrophe. All we can hope is that Russia just did this to intimidate everyone and they're not actually going to release the toxic materials. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with the stock crash. Following Following
Yep,
Russia's attack
everything is
against Ukraine, the
fucking-
stock market tanked. Now, I'm going to be honest. I know nothing
Everything.
about stocks, but I'm going to try and explain what's going on. Just don't come for me if I say anything wrong, because I probably will. Basically, investors are worried that the sanctions placed on Russia will hurt businesses there, so they're jumping boat, okay? The Russian stocks ended up crashing 33%, and the ruble plunged to record low. For example, Yandex, which is Russia's Google, dropped more than a half on Thursday. The Dow was down more than 550 points and could suffer its biggest drop.
I hope
in
a bunch of y'all ain't
2022.
panicked
Investors,
and pull
and I
your money
quote,
out too
fled
early.
stocks for safer havens, including oil, gold, and bonds. Even U.S. stocks started to crash as well. Should things continue, the market will just continue to crash. In our fourth spot today, we have the gas prices. Gas prices have skyrocketed due to the invasion. Oil prices surged by more than $8 a barrel. And that's because Russia is the world's third exporter of oil, and it's the second exporter of natural gas. So if we keep putting sanctions on Russia, obviously their countermove is going to be cutting back fuel sales. In the US, however, Biden is trying to solve the rising gas prices for his citizens. He said, and I quote, "I know this is hard and that Americans are already hurting. I'll do anything in my power to limit the pain the American people are feeling at the gas pump. But it's still sadly going to affect us all."
It is. And it's crazy because people got to make life decisions.
No,
People got to make life decisions at the gas pump. You know what I'm saying? And that's such a crazy thought to think. Like, are you going to put gas in your car? Or are you going to eat? You going to put gas in your car? Or are you going to pay your rent? You going to put gas in the car? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like put gas or pay a bill. Like, and that's a fucking crazy thing to think. Like, especially to know, like, when I was young, like, I remember when gas was under $1. Like, I remember watching my mom put gas in the car and seeing it be, 50 something cents or something like that. 80 cents, like under $1. Now, like, if it's under $3, bro, like, that's a fucking good day. Fill up every car. We gotta fill up everything. You know what I'm saying? Shit, if it's close to $3, bro, I'm filling up all the fucking cars. You know what I'm saying? Shit could be $3.19, my nigga. I'm filling up everything. Because as soon as it gets close to that $4, $4.50 and shit, especially when I'm dealing with two of my cars because they're premium, that's $4 is damn near like every other fucking time I'm putting gas in that motherfucker. Goddamn.
Talked about it, but let's go more in depth. In a move to try and stop Putin, the UK has decided to freeze the assets of all major Russian banks. 3 men and 5 banks have been targeted. The people affected are billionaire, I'm so sorry if I butcher their name, okay, Gennady Timchenko, who has business in energy, transportation, and construction, Igor Rotenberg, who is a shareholder in a drilling company, and Boris Rotenberg, the co-owner of the largest construction company for gas pipelines and electrical power supply lines in Russia. The banks affected are not the biggest ones, but banks known to be used by Putin's inner circle. Coming in at number 2, we have the consequences. Putin warned other countries that if they attempt to interfere with this situation, then it would lead to, and I quote, consequences you have never seen. Now, is he bluffing? Maybe. He
Hell no, he ain't bluffing. It's Putin we're talking about.
He actually
nigga crazy.
War. What's scary is that
nigga is
we know
crazy.
Russia has a number of nuclear weapons, and the last thing we want is a deadly nuclear war. I think countries and leaders know that nothing good will come of it. But still, we can't help but worry. But what are the consequences that Putin is talking about? Let's hope we'll never find out.
Ever.
And in our number 1 spot today, we have the massive casualties. As of now, it's said that 40 people have been killed so far in Ukraine. But we don't know if these casualties are including civilian casualties as well.
Probably
For all we
not.
know, the number could be much higher. God
Most
forbid.
likely.
Not only that, but released footage from Ukraine shows just how bad the situation is. There's big explosions, military vehicles everywhere, and sounds of screaming. Also, keep in mind that those 40 soldiers were killed. Many more were wounded in the first few hours. And apparently the Russian military wiped out Ukraine's entire air defenses in a matter of hours as well. It's just sad and scary. As the fighting persists, more people will sadly lose their lives. Again, all we can do now is hope and pray for those being impacted. All right, guys, that's all for today's video. I know
crazy,
it's really
man.
depressing. It's
It
scary.
is. Oh, man, that's just
My thoughts are
sad.
with everyone affected by this. Stay safe, please. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you. Bye, guys.
Yeah, man, crazy, super crazy, bro. We're looking at some different times ahead of us, and And this is another thing of why, like, I definitely think, you know, the idea of, you know, like NFTs and all that type of stuff are going to become more like relevant, you know, cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. Like, yes, all that stuff is crashing and stuff now as far as like, you know, the stock market. But the reality is technology is not necessarily going anywhere, right? But it is very realistic to think that the bank system might crash in some fashion. And what, like, how else are we gonna, like, we're gonna have to go back to bartering and shit like that. And this is where I think some of the things, like the nostalgic things that we may not be able to have in this physical world anymore, will become more tangible in this digital world and make more sense. And that's just a crazy thought to think. But again, you know, and things, we like, think about the pandemic, bro. We turned toilet paper into motherfucking currency. Toilet paper was fucking commodity, dog. You $300-400 for a pack of toilet paper, bruh. Motherfuckers was really about that life. So yeah, you know, you was able to eat if you had some toilet paper. Like, let's be real. So, but yeah, man, it's just crazy to think that, like, just the world is just gonna be so different coming forward. Like, we've every time, I feel like every year we just kind of like, oh, the world's different. But like now, like 5 years from now, things are gonna be completely different. Completely. Yeah. I'll catch you guys later, man. I love y'all. There's no me without you. Keep your heads up. I'll catch you on the next one.